All right. How is everybody? Getting started here in just a minute. Got just a few people on here so far. It's interested to see how many people jump on today. Hopefully we get a good amount of people that join on, just like we did last time. Anybody have the guts enough to speak up and say something that they're celebrating right now? Start off on a positive note. See, like Lauren's gonna pipe in. Go ahead, Lauren. I think you can unmute yourself. Maybe.
Yes. So I did listen to your Facebook ads and they are working, but I feel like I'm getting a lot of fake accounts.
Okay, what do you mean by fake accounts?
Like, I'm paying $25 per day for like 4 days. So it's like $100 budget.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like some of the accounts are kind of fake. Like it'll say like some of the accounts say my profile has been hacked. When actually,
you're getting messages from people. Yeah. So anytime you get more exposure, there's going to be bots or people out there that are going to message you, and that doesn't mean that it's a relation to your ads. There's just people out there always trying to scam people, whether it's email or messages on Facebook, social media, all that kind of stuff. I have a bunch of followers on my Instagram account, my personal Instagram, and I think probably 5 times a day I get spam messages from people all over the world trying to get me to buy something or do something for them.
Okay, so all the likes that I'm getting are not always spam people.
No, I would say probably not. Yeah, if you're getting likes from some of that content, that if you're doing ads, and are you running through Ads Manager, or are you just boosting posts?
No, I was doing it through ads. I actually filtered like I went to jewelry and like women's clothing and fashion, like what we sell versus whatever they picked for us, and I did it in certain states that buy from us all the time. Perfect. Versus just the United States. So it's really helping definitely with content. So you're being
good to hear. Yeah. I mean, the next step forward, you can look at even further demographic filtering there. So if you do like all women or specific age groups, you can look at income levels. I would also suggest uploading things like your customer lists, and then using lookalikes there that would allow you to extrapolate out to other audiences that are just very similar but bigger than your customer lists.
Perfect. Thank you for the help.
Yeah, you're very welcome. All right, I think we're gonna go ahead and get going here today. So thanks so far, everybody, for joining us. Like, we got about 15 people on the call here so far today. I'm excited to talk about something that has been an evolution. Obviously, social media is one of those things that continues to change constantly. With TikTok being introduced and, kind of around COVID, it really changed the landscape for Facebook and Instagram a lot and made them change things up, which as users and as people that create on the platforms, changes a lot of the strategy around how we should adopt the things that we're doing and what gets exposure, what gets reach, and how we need to adjust in order to live in the new reality of the changes that those platforms make. All in all, they're great. And so today we are diving into social media and content strategy. So a lot of high level, but I'm also today going to talk about some very specific things, tactics, tools that you guys can use in order to find a lot more success. So first of all, before I get to that, who am I really quick? I think most of you probably know who I am so far. Steve Merrill, started Bella Ella Boutique with my wife about almost 14 years ago now. And we were a seller on Jane, just like everybody else, have our own brands, have sold through retail locations, as well as our own website, which is our primary source, obviously now with things that happened with Jane. My passion is helping small business owners. So a lot of people like you, I transitioned over into Working Digital, which is my agency that is a full-time, full-service digital marketing agency, do everything ads, email marketing, social media, all that kind of stuff. And I love helping people and small business owners. I don't want to ever transition into the big space in a digital marketing agency because it's just not what I love. So I currently spend my time working with small business owners through my marketing agency. So let's get into the good stuff. Let's talk about social media today. First of all, We're going to talk about overall social media strategy, what it means. I'm going to try to keep it really, really simple for us in order to just keep it basic. I know that there's a lot of people that are kind of trying to get going, starting their own stuff, maybe have a following, and you're looking at trying to join, trying to build that following. I'm going to add another person on here that's trying to get in. Okay. So I'm going to try to keep it basic, but also give you guys some really tactical things that you can do in order to grow your following, even if you have a really big following. We're going to talk about the big three social platforms. So obviously TikTok is one of those that, like I said, was introduced really around 2019, 2020 is when they started getting big. Instagram, obviously, and then Facebook, of course. There's a lot of others out there. You could say YouTube is a social network, and there's a ton of them. It seems like there's always some coming up every day. There will be new ones in the future. Instagram and Facebook will continue to evolve. We'll probably see another platform, and before TikTok, it had been quite a while before there was, since there was another platform that really made an impact in the marketplace. We're going to talk a little bit about the differences between each platform. We'll go over some content ideas on this. Seems to be one of the biggest asks and one of the biggest things that people tend to really struggle with is, what do I post when I post stuff on social media? I have no idea. It's almost like a writer's block thing. I get it too, where you go on to social media like, I'm going to post something and I'm excited about what I'm going to post, but then you start to do it and you're like, oh, that's garbage. That's ridiculous. I'm not going to post that. And then you just abandon it. I don't know if anybody else has ever had that experience, but it tends to be a thing that happens to all of us. So I'm going to give you some really solid content ideas that'll help you guys to have some direction, and then just don't worry about it. Just post it. I'm going to give you some tools to make your life easier when working on social media. There's a bunch of free tools out there. There's some that cost a little bit, like $20 a month, that are going to make your life significantly easier when you're trying to run a business, as well as do things like grow your social media following. All right. And then just really how to start. So if you don't really have a solid strategy, or if you're just kind of starting out, which I know a lot of people may be, like, what are some solid steps that you can take to go from where you are now to, even getting your first 1,000 or 10,000 followers on social media, on social media. And so we'll dive into all of that. So first, overall strategy. Number one, it really helps to understand how social media really works and what the general goal is. So number one on social media is audience is the asset. The obvious goal is to use social media to drive sales, but we have to create content that addresses the asset, which is the audience, and not the eventual goal. Which means that if you create content that essentially says, I'm going to try to monetize everybody that interacts with me on social media, you're going to lose. It'll be a waste of your time. So you first must create content that gets engagement and grows your audience first, before you have any kind of ask of your audience and try to sell to them. If you're constantly just trying to sell, nobody's going to follow you. Your content's not going to do as well as you hope. Okay. So that's overall strategy number one. The audience is the asset, and you're investing in the audience that you're trying to build on social media, not necessarily directly the thing that you're selling, right? So it kind of comes back in full circle eventually. Number two, social media is free, but, and you probably hear people say this, and it's also one of the most appealing things about social media, is that you can sign up for an account and start posting content on social media, and it's free and it's great. But if you're not growing and getting engagement, it's because your content isn't good enough. And in order to really be effective on social media, it does take time. It takes commitment, and you have to create content that's good, that people actually want to engage with. And obviously those things can cost money, whether it's just time, which time is money. If it's taking time away from your business, if it's taking time away from spending time with your family, all of those things are a real cost. And so the investment is going to be maybe a lot more time, but the more you do, you kind of get out what you put into it, right? So we'll get into some of that. What do the platforms want? Now, this is a common thing that I feel like people really miss when they think about posting on social media, or how they work on social media content. What is it that the platforms want? So if you flip the script a little bit and you say, the platforms themselves, why do they even exist? Why do they even say, you know what, come post your content on this platform, and I'm going to reward you with getting people to see the things that you post? What the platforms really want whether it's Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok, is they want people like us to make content that's extremely engaging for people. Now, what does that do? Why do they want that? Well, that keeps people on their platform longer. And the longer that people as consumers are on their platform, the more ads they can show people. And that's essentially the algorithm. So you hear people talk a lot about the algorithm being shadow banned and all those things. All you need to know is that it's going to reward you for keeping people on the platform the most. And the more you get people to stay on the platform and spend time there, it's going to reward you more and more with engagement by getting exposure of the content that you post. Okay. So make that goal number one. The next overall strategy piece. Engagement is a two-way street. Now, this blew my mind when I first started understanding it, because initially all we did was post content. Let's post some good stuff. Let's post some engaging videos. And the more we did that, it seemed like our return that we got was less and less. But social media, if you think about it, in order for it to be social, it has to be a two-way street. It's an interaction more than it is just a one-way discussion or conversation. And think about it like going up to somebody on the street, right? If you go up to them and all you do is you tell them something and then you walk away, that person's going to look at you like you're crazy and then be like, okay, I'm going to go on with my day now, which is what a lot of people or brands do when they post content. In order to actually create the social connection here, you have to engage with the people that are in your target audience or demographic. And we'll get into some details on how to do that. But think about social media really as social media. You need to engage and be social with others in order for it to really work the way that you want it to. Next, keep it simple. It can be really, really overwhelming. If you cut out just 30 minutes of your day to engage with people, comment in one or two platforms, commit to yourself that you're going to actually do it. The best plan is the one that's actually going to work for you and that you're going to follow. So if it's 10, 15 minutes a day, if it's 2 hours once a week, whatever it is, if you can commit to it and actually do it long term, it's going to create dividends for you and your business. So keep it simple. It can be overwhelming. We're going to get into a lot of stuff here, but just create a plan for yourself that works off of what we're going to talk about, and then be consistent, which is my last point here, overall strategy. Just be consistent. It's more important than what you post. More important than what you post is how often you post. So post daily if you can. If you're already posting daily, come up with a strategy that allows you to post twice a day. And that if you're already doing that, maybe add in some additional pieces of content, add in posting in stories, add in creating some more videos. But whatever you can do, just be consistent. The worst plan is one that overbears you, and then you take on too much and it's not sustainable in reality. And then you end up just ditching it because you don't see the returns. Now, and that's another point here, is that it is an investment. And initially you're going to start engaging and you're going to be excited and you're not going to get the engagement you want. Don't let it overbear you and think that it doesn't work. All that means is you need to kind of adjust and figure out what is working and what's not working, and make plans to try to get better and better. Okay, so overall strategy there. Hopefully that helps. So next piece here, and I'm going to move kind of quick because I got a lot to talk about here. The big three platforms, like I mentioned before: TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. These three platforms primarily exist and consume most of the social media content, or present most of the social media content that people consume. Obviously, there's others, LinkedIn, YouTube, and so on, but these are the primary ones. Then we'll talk to the pros and cons of these different platforms, kind of how they compare to each other, their differences, how to use each one of them in order to get the outcome that you're trying to look for in your business. Some of them skew one way or the other, depending on who's on the platform. And we'll talk about some of those. So I'm going to start with TikTok. And the reason why I'm starting with TikTok is because it's kind of on one far end of the spectrum in terms of the people that are on it, the types of content, and what you can expect in terms of results there. So obviously everybody knows TikTok. As a platform, it's great for reach and virality. As you know, you can create some content there, and it really can go viral pretty quickly. And we've had some videos, and we haven't invested probably as much in TikTok as we should have. But there's a reason why, and I'll get to that in a minute. But reach and virality on TikTok can happen even if you don't really have followers. Really, it's not a problem. So if you don't have followers on TikTok, you can sign up for an account, and within the next 30 days, if you have 10 followers, you could have a viral video that goes to hundreds of thousands, even millions of people, which is one of the really cool things about the platform is you can go viral pretty quickly, and you don't have to have a big following or time investment. If you have a piece of content that's just really, really good, it's going to get the exposure and the reach as opposed to some of the other platforms. But you must create really, really good short form content, and it has to be platform specific. So short form meaning video. I've seen a lot of people that will do things like create a video for their reels on Instagram, and they'll take that same video and they'll upload it to TikTok, and it'll have watermarks or other things that are specific to Instagram. That content, by nature, the platforms are smart enough to know you're reposting the same content, and it will punish you because of that. So it does need to be platform specific. There are small differences in the platforms that make things do better here and there. For example, on TikTok, you can really easily add music through their editor that's going to give the post a bit more of a boost than it would on Reels or Instagram with the same exact music and posting. So be platform specific. I've also found that whatever platform that you're posting on, we have seen a difference in doing things like uploading video from your phone to the platform as opposed to organically shooting the content through the platform specific tools provided. And so if you're creating a video on, let's say, Instagram or TikTok, for example, if you record the video through the platform and use those tools specific to the app, they typically do get a little bit better performance. Obviously, some of that can be limited and you have to really invest the time to learn those, but the long-term effect could be great if you invest the time into learning those platforms. TikTok specifically, it does skew to a younger audience, and 60% of that audience is between 16 to 24 years old, which is going to lead to one of the next things that I'll talk about. Excuse me. But 80% of their audience then is the additional age group of 16 to 34 years old. So depending on what you sell, that age group may not even be interested in whatever it is that you're selling. Or if it's a much younger audience, obviously you can go the other way. And if you have a product that is very specific to a much younger audience, your content may relate, excuse me here. Wow. Your content may relate a lot better to that younger audience or younger demographic. So keep that in mind when you're pursuing content on TikTok. The next thing here, video creation, it does require more time and more investment into making it really, really good. You guys have seen some of the videos that people have probably posted on TikTok that as you're just browsing through the platform. Some of these videos are ridiculous in terms of the amount of time and even money that they spend creating these videos, but they're doing it with the intention that it's going to have some exposure and go viral, right? And so that's kind of what you're competing against on the platform. While it is free to post, if it's not good and it's not designed platform specific to get engagement in the audience that it's going to go viral in, then it's really, really hard for the content to get the reach that maybe you want it to. Okay. As a platform, and this is changing a little bit recently, but it is and has been notoriously difficult to try to drive sales. And my hypothesis here, and I've had conversations with people and it all makes sense. And if anybody has any comments about something different about this, I'd love to hear it. Maybe you can add it into the chat here. But my hypothesis, and from what I've seen, is that the platform, the way it's structured, is very simple to get people to try to consume more content by just swiping. And you're constantly sitting on the platform consuming videos that are maybe 5 seconds, maybe 10, 15, 20 seconds long, and mindlessly just scrolling. So one after another after another. And when you're interrupted with an ad or with some content that somebody's trying to get you to buy something and take some other action off of the platform, it interrupts the flow of them going from one post to the next. So the platform itself and the structure of it just conflicts with what somebody would have to do to enter a shopping behavior, which then goes off of the platform and then allows them to actually go get their credit card and buy something. So that's my hypothesis on why it's notoriously hard to drive sales through TikTok. It's kind of a structure to the platform thing. They have introduced recently some shopping features within the app, which should help out with some conversion metrics on the platform. The jury's still open. I've heard some people have had some success with it, and we're still kind of trying to figure out that piece. So when I say new, it's like within the last like 40 days, they've introduced this beta feature of the TikTok shop to the public. And so obviously they're still probably trying to work things out, and it'll change. Yeah. So that's TikTok. Any questions there? If there is, raise your hand and we can chat about it, or drop it in the chat there. If not, we're going to move on, and I'll come back to questions if there are any. Okay. Next one, Instagram. Instagram, obviously, everybody knows Instagram, and it's obviously changed over time as well. I love Instagram because it has the ability for you to post really flexible types of content that all can get interaction and reach. Images, which typically will do horrible on TikTok, may do really, really well on Instagram. Another one that I didn't put in here would be like multiple images. You've seen some of these like swipe posts that people may put in that get people to scroll from one image to the next, which gets a lot of engagement if it's value added. Obviously, video content, they've really pivoted a lot recently in video content over the last couple of years as they've had to try to address the introduction of TikTok to the marketplace, which Reels was their introduction into that same exact marketplace. And then captions can actually do really well, where TikTok, nobody's reading a thing unless it's on a video in captions. But by captions, I mean the actual text that you write on the post itself, which can have a lot of value. And there are people that read those captions and interact with that content. And so it's an introduction of a different type of content that could get some engagement for you and your brand. Okay, next. It is easier to drive sales than it is on TikTok. And again, I think because of the multiple different forms of content, the way that you consume content on the platform, it does break things up differently, where people are looking at stories 1 minute. You can have a link on a story, which is much more difficult on TikTok. You can have a post that people are swiping through and interacting with. And obviously Reels, which may be a little bit more difficult, but there's just a lot more tools available to us to be able to drive sales than there is on TikTok. So it typically is a little bit easier to drive sales through TikTok or through Instagram than it is on TikTok. In terms of reach, Reels, just like on TikTok, can go viral depending on how good they are. Obviously, it's probably pulled back a bit over the last couple of years, as Instagram, what they typically do is they'll introduce a new feature based on some competitor in the marketplace. So, in the past it was, Snapchat. They were trying to compete with Snapchat. So they introduced stories. And if Snapchat hadn't gotten really big, they probably wouldn't have introduced that feature. And then obviously TikTok came out, so they introduced Reels to compete against that. And as they introduce new features, what they typically do is they give a lot of leniency and exposure to that new feature, so people adopt it on the platform. And if you're smart about it, you'll see the new features that the platform is introducing, and you'll be a very early adopter of that feature in order to try to get more content reach on your content. And that's a really kind of like easy hack. Go on and look at the new features they're releasing. Instagram has like a blog that they maintain that they talk about their features and changes. Be an early adopter about any of the changes that they're making, and give the platform a chance to use you as a guinea pig. Yeah. Next point. It is a little bit more difficult to get reach than it is on TikTok. There's obviously a lot more competitors on Instagram. I don't know the number of people that are on Instagram, but it's a massive amount of number, and everybody's competing for attention on the platform. So it is a little bit more difficult to get reach than it is on TikTok. A few of the pieces of TikTok or of Instagram, I'm kind of confusing here, I guess. A few of the pieces of Instagram. Number one, your Instagram stories. Think about this as telling a story. That's probably the right way to use Instagram stories. Think about it as your reality show. The most engaging stories that you'll see are the ones where people are just sitting on their phone talking about something, or doing some kind of like just personal thing that they're showing off or telling about within their life or their experience that they're having. Just think about the content that you're engaging with on Instagram stories specifically. The stuff that you stop and you look at, whether you're thinking about it or not, is probably the things that you should be creating as a brand or as an individual when you're talking about content on the platform. So Instagram stories tell a story. The typical follower journey that we see and the way that these tools interact with one another. So number one, your reels have the highest probability of getting extended exposure beyond just the people that follow you. So reels are a really great way to expand the reach of the content that you post outside of your audience that follows you. There's in the professional tools within your Instagram page or within your Instagram app, you're able to see the number of people percentage-wise that engage with the content that you share that are not followers of yours. And Reels is primarily the number one way to get that exposure. When people see your Reels content, it allows them to engage with your other stuff, and typically they will then go to your profile. On your profile then, usually the first thing that people interact with is they will pop on your stories. So stories are also a way that you can get exposure beyond your normal audience. Not as much as Reels, but you definitely get more exposure on your audience, outside of your audience. All of those things will lead to your feed. So people will go to your profile. They'll see your name. They'll see your profile picture. They'll see your saved, bio, your saved highlights, and your entire profile feed. So your profile feed should lead to your business, the things that you do, the things that you sell, and it should be consistent with your Reels and your stories. So that follower journey all leads back to your feed where you want people to go, which a really important piece I'm going to talk about in a minute is, okay, once people are there, what's the goal? We want them to follow us. So get them to click that button that says follow and then have them engage as part of your audience. From there, then obviously we want to take them off platform to eventually try to buy something from us. Posts have a lot more lifetime value than stories do, obviously. So you can add highlights into your feed, which is one of the things that they use to try to give stories a lot more lifetime, but they're a lot more difficult because people will typically put a highlight up that has, I've seen people that have like 100 stories that they've saved on a highlight. And what do people do when they see that? They like either swipe through really, really quick and don't pay attention to anything, or they just completely skip it because there's so many. So manage those if you do have highlights, so they're not just a blast of content that's been there for the last 5 years, excuse me, that nobody really engages with. But those highlights, they do get some engagement, but again, are not as important as the posts that you actually post onto your feed. What I love about the posts on your feed is they're a lot more evergreen. They have more lifetime values than stories do because they're right there on your feed and people can scroll down and see all of the content on your feed. So be really intentional about the content that you post on your posts, and you're definitely okay to sell within your posts on your feed. That's probably the primary way that you should be posting about things to try to get people to buy, is within your feed itself, because that's the place that people are going to be funneling back to. Now, the contradicting thing here is that in your posts, it's a lot more difficult to try to get people to go off platform and buy because of the linking ability within your posts. So a side hack here is make sure that you have set up in Business Manager, Facebook Business Manager, your product catalog integrated with your store. So you can then on the platform in your posts, tag specific products that go back to your website or your shop on Meta. And so you can then link externally to the products and things that you sell outside of the platform. Okay. But like I said, limited external linking on Instagram. Stories is typically the way that you would post content that gets links, that allows you to link in them. Posts are obviously very, very limited outside of what I just talked about, which is one of the pieces that makes it a little bit more difficult to monetize at times. Between the platforms, like I said, it's a bit easier than TikTok, but not as good in terms of conversion as a conversion rate from what we see as from Facebook, as I'm going to talk about next. Okay. I went through that pretty quick. Again, if there's any questions here, pop them in here or raise your hand, and happy to have somebody ask a question live. I'd actually prefer that. I did have a question from Alyssa here about TikTok. So for TikTok Shop, what is your experience working with affiliates? Affiliates, that probably sounds a little bit like influencers or other people that you might pay to play. I'm guessing that that's probably the kind of experience that you might be talking about. For TikTok Shop, I haven't had anybody directly that's done any kind of affiliate work with us on TikTok Shop. We have done some TikTok influencers, TikTok posting. Again, very, very similar experience of what we've had is that it's good to get exposure. It does typically expose the person which is creating and posting the content, though, instead of as an affiliate or an influencer, somebody that's going to link back to you as a brand. Because of the user behavior on the platform, people are swiping through, they're going to consume content. It may get a lot of exposure. So if you're reposting something that an influencer did, it might help. If they're posting on their own feed, notoriously hard to get people to come back to you as a brand or a company to follow you, especially on TikTok and especially off the platform. So it's a great platform for building brand and awareness, but outside of that has been really difficult in order to build anything like conversion. Okay, let me go next year. All right, so we're going to jump to the next one. Instagram, that was Instagram. Let's jump into Facebook. Now, I love Facebook. Obviously, they're the oldest platform in terms of social media. I don't know about oldest. I remember MySpace, right? But what would life be like if MySpace was still around? All right. So Facebook, though, kind of the way that they started tying back in a little bit to what the goals of the platform is. So Facebook as a platform is much more of a relationship-based platform, meaning that they started out, if you remember, and if you've seen the movie, The Facebook, I think it was The Facebook or just Facebook, Zuckerberg started it in college when he was at Harvard to try to have relationships with other people. Because he was this nerd that sat in his dorm all the time and nerded out over his classes. And so he used it to try to just have relationships with people, and it's evolved as a platform, but its core is still that relationship networking capability that the platform has. Now, because of that, it does change a little bit the way that you would want to engage on the platform. A lot of people miss this point, is that you should absolutely 100% use your personal profile and your business page together to post content and engage with people. Because on the platform, you have a business page, and the page you can interact with people, but people don't like to interact directly with a business or a faceless page. They love to interact with people, though. So when you're creating content and when you're posting on Facebook, do things on your personal platform, on your personal profile that link to your business. I see even some of the people in this group, I've gone to their Facebook pages, their Facebook profiles. It says nothing about your business. It says nothing about what you do. It doesn't have any links. Go into your profile on Facebook, your personal profile, link it to your business page and say, I am the owner at XYZ Boutique. That's going to link people from your personal to your business page and let people know what you do. And people will see that and go to your business page. Talk about what you do on your home on your Facebook page, your personal page. Talk about what you do. Post a picture that says something about your business. Use your personal profile to promote your business page, and it's going to get you more experience, interaction, and exposure. Okay. So use them together. Don't forget those two. They're very, very powerful together. The next one, use images, obviously, but video can also get reach. I love the platform for its ability for images to do really well. It's not lost that video is kind of the new thing, but images on Facebook tends to do a little bit better than they would anywhere else. And I love that. So things like memes or quotes or just like thoughts that you might want to share. Images can do really, really well on Facebook, and they can get reach. Another piece here is captions, and I'm going to skip that because I'm going to come back to that. I'll skip captions here in a second. One other point, the audience skews a little bit older than all the other platforms. Where on TikTok, we saw 60% of the users were in the very young demographic. I think it was under 25 years old. On Facebook, 54% are 35 plus. Now, I wouldn't consider that old because I'm in that demographic. But in terms of an age grouping, 54% of people on Facebook are 35 years or older. So if you're 19, obviously that is old. But know that when you're talking about the content that you're posting. So if you're trying to reach an audience which is younger, more people are going to be on TikTok that are active. Instagram tends to be a mix between the two. So you find some younger, some older, and it skews really towards the middle, where the median is around the like 25 to 34-year-old bracket, which tends to be the largest. Facebook, again, the majority of people are 35 plus. People read captions on Facebook because of the format of the content that you post on Facebook. The caption comes up first, and that is what people will see first. So that's what people engage with first. So invest in your captions on Facebook. They are more prominent than they are on any other social media platform, maybe with exception of like LinkedIn. But any platform that's worth it, if you're trying to engage as a business that's selling direct to consumer, Facebook's going to allow you to post captions that are going to capture people more than any other platform. So invest in the time that you put into captions themselves. Make them interesting. Tell a story. Make them captivating, because if you're good at writing, this is the one platform where you can really engage people that you really can't through Instagram or TikTok, just through the content that you write. So keep that in mind. It is easier to drive sales thanks to the links that you can add on the different content types that you can post. And so I love this about Facebook as a business. Personally, you can add in all kinds of different content on your posts. Obviously, Facebook has stories now. They also have Facebook Reels and different content types. But the primary thing that people consume on Facebook is the feed. So they jump on the platform there and start scrolling through. It continues to be the place that people engage on Facebook. And because of the different content that you can post on the platform, like links, like images, and add in the different pieces, it allows you to link externally where you can't on the other platforms. And I swear that Facebook said that was a mistake. We want to keep people on the platform. So on Instagram, we're not going to allow that. But I don't think they can take it back on Facebook, because people use it a ton. Now, thanks to that, like I said, it definitely helps to be able to drive people off platform to be able to go visit your site and consume whatever content you're trying to link to. Yeah. Now, so that's Facebook in general. Like I said, I'm going to be a bit more broad, and time-wise, I didn't want to go in too much detail here. But like I said before, one of the things that I get asked about a lot also is, what types of content do I post on the platforms? And I gave you a little bit of a teaser. But you guys may want to take a screenshot of this, take a picture with your phone. Here's 44 different content ideas that should help you to never run out of things that you should post. So it talks about here about me, and just go through and schedule and pick one of your favorite ones, one that's easy for you. Like I talked about at the beginning, it's important to be consistent, and having a constant reservoir of content ideas that you can post for you and your business is going to give you the ability to keep that cadence going over time, where if you're trying to come up with a new thing every day and you're sitting here on their phone and trying to figure out what to post, like, it doesn't help. So use this as a guide. Another kind of hack that I use for content ideas is just go look at what other people are doing. What are your competitors doing? What are people doing on the platform that maybe are big brands or influencers that you follow? If those people are posting content and specific types of content, it's probably because they've done the research and they know the analytics and they understand what's going to work and what doesn't work. So if you look at them and just say, steal like an artist, go see what they do and take the idea, rip it off, and make it your own. That's honestly a secret that everybody does on the platform. Figure out what works, see what other people are doing, throw it into your feed, adopt it to your brand or your messaging, and make it your own. But a lot of these content ideas can work really, really well, especially as you want to rotate through different types of content. Okay. Tools to use. Now, I wanted to share some of these things. These are things that we all use for Facebook, Instagram, even TikTok posting. We do some YouTube short form stuff, but don't worry about that right now. These things will make your life significantly easier, especially as you get started in posting on social media. Number one, use an all-in-one scheduling app. So this is like a platform that allows you to integrate with all the different platforms and schedule out your posts over the coming period of time. I know like Meta has a tool that they have internally for Facebook and Instagram. You can also do that within the app on Instagram and Facebook, scheduling things out. But what I love about these scheduling apps is they typically have some analytics there, but it involves all of the platforms. You can create posts on a calendar view, and then just schedule it out really far ahead of time, so you can sit down and do it like one time a week. And they're actually pretty cheap. We use right now we use Metricool. It's $22 a month for their core plan, so really, really cheap. Huge value for what it does. Later, which we've used, is $45 a month, so obviously a little bit more expensive. They do have some other tools in there, so explore between those. Metricool I love though. Meta Business Suite, obviously it's free, which is great. It gives you some content analytics and detailed tools that you probably won't get anywhere else in terms of measuring engagement, which I'll get to in a minute. Linktree. So this is the bio link that you're going to want to use on every single platform. So add in the links that you'd want people to visit, whether it's to your website, or if you're doing a sale, or you're doing, link to like your new arrivals or whatever it might be. Add in a link tree that then lets you have multiple different links for people to click on from your one profile link. And then ChatGPT. Now I would be careful here. I would use this as a way to come up with content ideas and then make them your own. ChatGPT for me is great in terms of driving creativity and inspiring me, but simply copying and pasting content from ChatGPT would lend to you just reproducing everything that everybody else has already said, which doesn't do well on social media. So use it. It's $20 a month. Can really help with inspiration if you're trying to plan out content ideas, and really, really easy to get to know and use as a tool. Couple examples of these tools. So the first one is this is the Metricool Scheduler app. Like I said, it allows you to schedule out content over time. And I took this screenshot this morning of some of our posts that we currently have scheduled out, which it looks like a social media manager probably needs to get on it as of this morning. But you can plan out your entire week. You can plan out your entire month. And don't have to worry about going from one platform to the next in order to schedule content. You can do them all within here, especially if you're trying to do like TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and others all at the same time. It's really, really nice. The other one, so this is Meta Business Suite. And this, I took this morning from our Meta Business Suite screenshot of Bella Ella Boutique, and you can kind of see some interesting things here about content that I actually just wanted to point out really quick. I don't know if you guys can see the detail there, but typically what we do a lot of times is we'll post the same content or same type of content with the just minor differences between the platforms to both Facebook and Instagram. And so Meta Business Suite gives you analytics on all of those interactions and those posts. And the different types of content that work on the different platforms is really, really interesting. If you guys can see kind of the second post down there, we posted the same thing that says, "Hey, Bella Babes, here's my top 5 favorite," and whatever that post was. As of this morning, that got 5,000 people that saw it on Facebook, which is just, obviously it's like a text post meme, and 56 engagements. On Instagram, it got a reach of 687 people. Now we have over 115,000 followers on Instagram, and 687 people saw that. Now, what that tells you is a little bit about the content types that people would engage with. If you go just above that to the top 2, so this is a video. So this we posted as a reel, and it got, as of this morning, which was posted last night at 5:07 p.m., it got a reach of over 10,000 people, a bunch of likes and shares. And on Facebook, it got a reach of 4,600 people, which isn't bad. But you can see the difference. It got double the reach on Instagram that it did on Facebook. So just those 2 different posts there tell you a lot about what you might expect on the differences between Facebook and Instagram when you post content. So the next thing I'm gonna get into is the content plan here. So if you're kind of just starting out, give you some direction there. If you are just starting out, again, like I talked about, don't make it overbearing on yourself. It's really, really easy to try to think, okay, I'm going to get excited. I'm going to get on Facebook, and I'm going to get on Instagram, and we're going to get on TikTok, and we're going to do YouTube shorts, and we're going to get on LinkedIn, and we're going to do all of the things, and you're going to get burnt out really, really, really quick. So goal number one is, if you're just starting out, or even if you feel overwhelmed, or maybe you're recommitting yourself to doing social media, pick one platform and just schedule posts every day. Just keep it super simple, because doing everything all at the same time is going to overwhelm you and you're going to end up doing nothing. So pick one platform and post daily. If you're going to pick two platforms, just post the same content to Facebook and Instagram that you would typically post. I would highly recommend customizing the content to each platform, because there are nuances and differences that you'd want to make sure you address. But if you're going to pick one platform, just pick the one that fits best for you, your demographic, wherever your audience already is, and just start posting every single day. Once per week, and this would be kind of your content strategy or your posting plan that you could follow. So once per week, what should you do? Number one, just take 30 minutes to review the performance from the previous week. So if you're using some other analytics tool, or you're using Meta Business Manager like I just showed, just take 30 minutes to review what worked and what didn't work from the last week. Which posts tends to got more reach, which ones didn't, what got engagement, and then ask yourself why. Why did those posts do better and why did those posts do worse? And for the next week, then you're going to sit down and take 60 minutes to schedule out your content for the next week. And so if you're using a tool like Metricool, like I just talked about, it's going to give the ability to be able to just schedule everything out once a week. So you sit down, schedule every post for the next week, or even the next 2 weeks, however long you want to do it, based on the information that you have at hand and what did and didn't work from the previous week. So all in, you're about 90 minutes once a week. But then daily, and this is at least 50% of what you're going to see in terms of your reach of your content and your engagement on the platform. Again, remember, social media is social. So you need to interact with other people on the platform with the expectation that they will then, you'll be involved in their ecosystem. So you need to reach out to people and comment. And I'll talk about how that works here in just a minute. But commit to taking about at least 15, 30 minutes a day. Honestly, the more you engage with other people, by far the better, because it's going to expose you a lot more than just posting content up on whatever platform that you're trying to post content on. Now, what does your daily engagement look like? Okay, so if you're taking 15, 30 minutes a day, honestly, like if I could hire somebody to do this full time and do nothing but engage, I swear there's probably some millennial out there that would love to get paid just to get on Instagram all day. But if I was doing that, what I would have that person do is, number one, realize that your post is only one part of the algorithm. Some other parts of the algorithm that are really important to understand involve things like, number one, what accounts you follow. So the people that you as a brand, or whatever account it is you're trying to get engagement with, whoever you follow is also part of the algorithm. It's not just who follows you. Another part of it, like I said, who follows you. So as you grow your following, who are those people that follow you? And this is one of the reasons why it is so wrong and not okay to buy followers, because those followers are going to be fake accounts. They're going to be somewhere in like India or somewhere in Asia or wherever they are around the world, not in your target demographic. And Facebook's algorithm or Instagram's algorithm is going to look at those people that follow you and say, well, since there's a bunch of people like this that follow you, I'm going to show your content to people like those. And so if you buy followers, it's not going to get the content reach that if you had just had an organic content or organic growth to your social media account. So don't fall into the temptation of buying followers. Who engages with your content? So people that are actively on your content, liking, commenting, sharing it, who those people are, obviously, but also who you are engaging with on the platform. So the content that you are liking, the content you are sharing or commenting on or saving is all of the things that the algorithm looks at. Well, some of the things. And then you're going to use this engagement to drive targeted awareness back to your profile. So you want people to, after you engage with them, come back to your own profile. Obviously, that's the whole goal. You want them to come back and follow you. Now, how do we do that? So this is the next part. How do we engage? Number one, you're going to go look on your profile, the content that you're posting, and see who's liking, who is commenting on the content that you share. So you're going to click on that person's profile and you're going to go to their profile and follow them. You're going to like some of the stuff that they posted, and you're going to thoughtfully comment on the stuff that they posted on their page. Now, this interaction is going to drive, number one, it's going to drive awareness of that person to you as a brand. So they've already interacted with you, but now you're also teaching the algorithm, these are the people that I want to follow me and like my content. And that direct interaction is going to say, okay, like if you went over to Sally's profile and you followed her and you liked some of her stuff and you left some comments, but she also did the same with your page, all of a sudden Sally's followers are going to start to see more of your content. And that's part of how the algorithm works. You're going to take that and you're just going to repeat it over and over again every single day for 15, 30, if you can afford to do it 60 minutes, because you don't have much else to do right now, just keep doing it over and over again. And it's going to get you reach. It's going to get you exposure, and it's going to get you a lot more engagement. Next part of it, do a very, very similar thing, but go look at similar brands. Go look at your competitors, people that have bigger followings of a target audience that you want to have as your audience. Go engage with their content. Go to their page, see who engaged with their content on their page. So you can see a lot of the people that will comment. A lot of times you can't see likes, obviously, or all of the followers, which could be dangerous. You don't want to just jump into people's followers. But who engaged with their content? Who is engaging with their content right now? Who's making comments on some of the stuff that they posted? Go to that comment, click on that person's profile, go visit their profile, and follow, like, and comment thoughtfully with that user. So all of a sudden, that person who probably had no idea who you and your brand are is getting engagement from you and your brand, and they're gonna be like, "Who is this company that just commented on my post?" They're gonna click on you and go check you out. And if you're similar to the brand that they already follow and you have good content on your profile, they're probably gonna follow you. Okay, that's how the algorithm works. Then all of a sudden, that person that followed you, their friends are gonna start seeing your content as well. Okay, you do this over time, it's an investment. So you're just going to take this and repeat, and there should really not be an end to that entire process. Okay. All right. So we're kind of getting towards the end here. So in conclusion, number one, pick a platform that you can just be consistent with. Post daily or more. If you're already posting daily, post twice a day. If you're already posting twice a day, post 5 times a day, or whatever you can afford, whatever your time allotment allows you to be able to do. But engage more than you post, because again, it's social media. It's not just I'm going to blast you with the things that I think that people want to see media. And that requires you to engage. And a lot of people miss that entire part of the algorithm, which drives a huge part of getting reach and engagement on the content that you actually share. And then just be consistent. Remember, like I talked about at the beginning, the asset is the eyeballs. So your goal on social media should be number one, grow the asset, which is the eyeballs, get people to follow you, get people to engage with your content. How you know whether or not your content is good? Are you growing in followers or are you shrinking in followers? If you're growing in followers, your content's great and people are seeing it, they're following you, they're wanting more of that content. If your followers are decreasing, that tells you that you probably need to reevaluate the stuff that you're posting and what's getting engagement, because people just are not finding value in it. But be consistent with it. Okay. All right. I'm going to pause right there because I want to give everybody the opportunity to ask questions. It looks like there was a couple here that came in on the text. So I'll talk about that for just a second. If you guys have other comments or questions, put them in the comments there. Also, you can feel free to raise your hand and I'll let you open up and actually talk. And I would love to hear people's voices. So if there's any comments, pop in there. Yeah, questions. I already talked about TikTok Shop. Question, is it a negative action to post on Instagram, then have it auto post to Facebook? No, it is not. And so you're probably referring to that feature where Facebook and Instagram can be linked together. And so if you're on the Instagram app and you're posting something on Instagram and you say automatically post it to Facebook, a good hint here would be if it's a feature that you're using within the actual Instagram or Facebook app to post content, they're not going to negatively punish you for using that feature. typically they would reward you for using that feature. What I would say is that feature would be better than posting on a external app to both platforms at the exact same time with the exact same content. And so I wouldn't say it's a negative action. Even better than that would be posting to each platform individually and customizing it based on the content experience that you know people are going to see more on that specific platform. So intentional content like that's going to always outperform kind of, I guess, recycled content. Let's see, can we ask about the cost of a social media manager, and do you still have control over your content using a social media manager? You know what, I've had a lot of different experience in working with hiring people that work on social media for us as a brand, agencies. We currently have somebody in-house that does it for us. And I've kind of settled on the fact that if you're going to have somebody that runs or does your organic social media for you like this, you have to have like boots on the ground in your business. Because in reality, when you're talking about the content that's going to get reach and exposure, you got to have things on the inside that you're talking about as a business that make you unique and give you personality. And if you're not sharing those things, you should definitely, I guess, temper your expectation on what kind of return you're going to get on those efforts. It's really, really easy just to post a bunch of product pictures or some videos about a photo shoot or whatever it might be. But the more personal that content is, the better it's going to get exposure and reach and engagement. And so as a brand owner, like that's probably the number one way to get more exposure and reach. If I go back to the slide that talks about content types or content ideas, a lot of the things in there are ideas that talk about you and your business and things that are specific and unique to you. The more personality you show in your content, the better. So I've gone the route of always having somebody in-house as my social media manager so they can walk around the office, film videos, create stories, tell stories about people. And remember, your stories on Instagram tell a story. And that's what's going to get engagement, is the unique stuff. And just posting a picture about a product that you sell that's similar to something that somebody else sells isn't that unique. Yeah. Any other questions, guys? Any hands raised? Nothing. Okay, no questions here. So my last thing here, and I wanted to save this. Oh, looks like Lauren has a question. So I'm going to open you up here while I skim through those. I'll let you ask that question. You can go ahead and unmute yourself there, Lauren.
Okay, I know I probably drive you all nuts, but is Facebook, like I make handmade jewelry, is Facebook or Instagram where I should focus? Should I do Instagram more like handmade personal growth, or should I do Facebook where it's just like images where people can go on and click and order?
I would answer that question with a question. The number one way you should know is, where is your audience? Right.
Facebook.
And so, yeah. So looking at your audience, where do those people actually congregate more? And if it's Facebook, that's where you want to go. Right. If you're posting on TikTok right now, if it's a product that maybe the older demographic would buy, 35 plus, TikTok's not going to do very awesome for you. If you're on Facebook, because that's the demographic that works for you, then post more on Facebook. If you're going to choose just one.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Cam, I think there was maybe another question. Thanks for your question, Lauren. All right. Kim, go ahead. You're going to unmute yourself there.
Can you hear me?
Yes. How are you?
We started our Instagram back before we started on Jane, and we have 53,000 followers.
That's fantastic.
It is, except for the fact that when we went on to Jane, we basically stopped our social media because we didn't have time to do both. And so now, as much as we have all these followers, when we do posts, we're getting very, very low interaction, maybe only 4 or 5 likes, no comments. We've been really trying to get people to interact with us with like nothing's working for us. And I'm wondering if you have any suggestions. I guess we're just back at ground zero and we're having to work our way back up again.
Yeah, so reset your expectation around what you think people are going to do when they do engage on your content, because you haven't been consistent over time. Obviously, people may have forgotten about you. The algorithm forgets about you too, but intentionally, if you're not posting content on a consistent basis and nobody's engaging with it, obviously no posts get no engagement.
Okay.
That's what you're going to expect when you start over again. So even if you have a bunch of followers, it's like you're starting over from ground zero. So again, all of the same principles I talked about here apply. Just start posting content. You may need to adjust in terms of your content strategy, because whatever you're posting before probably isn't going to work today.
Okay.
And so change your content that you're posting to what is going to work. Look at people that are in your business and similar businesses across Instagram and see what they're posting. And again, rip off and duplicate, right? Figure out from them what works.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sorry, probably not the answer that you were looking for there, but you're kind of starting over from ground zero.
Okay, and we're willing to work on it. I just was kind of wondering why, we were getting such low engagement.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, an easy way to do it would be just start doing some paid advertising, right? That's the difference between the two. And maybe one of my last points here is, organic content's a great way that's quote unquote free, because it doesn't require you to pay to play. Obviously, good content requires time and money, and potentially money and energy, which does have a cost to it.
Right.
But so what you can guarantee when you post something organically is you're not going to pay to get on the platform and have people see it. When you do a paid ad, people are guaranteed to see it based on how much money you spend. So the platform's giving you reach to everybody that you may want to get in front of, but they also then just don't guarantee that even if people see it, that they're going to engage or they're going to buy from it. That's up to you in terms of your ad that you create. So, that's the big differences between the two types of approaches, paid content versus organic content. If you're really looking at wanting to try to move faster on social media, the way that the platforms work now, you're going to have to invest in paid media.
Okay. Nope, that sounds good. And I wouldn't mind talking to you off screen sometime about that. We have been talking by email. So I wouldn't mind catching up on some of that stuff with you later.
Yeah, I'd love to. And for you and for everybody else, I do have, I'm going to skip through this here really quick, but we have a setup package for Facebook or for everybody in the Jane Seller group. And I didn't add the other one. Shoot, my content information or my contact information. I didn't put that in there. Fail, guys. I put this together this morning and I must have forgotten probably one of the most important pieces for me. I'm going to put in the comments here just my contact information. So my email address, I'm going to put in my phone number here. Text me if you have questions. I'm happy to help any way that I can, guys. Message me on Facebook. I'll respond there. And I want to help everybody as much as I can here. So I'm going to put in the comments here really quick, just in the sidebar, my contact information. My email address is steve@workingdigital. Feel free to email me there. And then I will also put in my phone number here for you guys. Please don't abuse that. I am going to give you my actual phone number here. But feel free I would prefer a text. Reach out, shoot me a text. Let me know that you're on the Jane Seller Group meeting, and I'll be happy to help as much as I can. Okay, I know we're at time here. So the last thing that I had that I'm just going to talk about really quick, I didn't want to approach this as something that I'm trying to pitch anybody on. One of the biggest questions that I've received from probably 30 or 40 people that I've talked to is I want to get my brand going, but I'm lost in terms of the direction that I want to go. Maybe I don't know what path to take. What should I focus on first? It's a lot. I'm trying to monetize and create sales, but at the same time, I know I need to do all this other stuff. I got together with my team here and as our marketing team. I have 4 or 3 other people that work with me, so 4 total together, including myself. And we came up with an idea to offer this Jane Life After Jane setup package, which involves a ton of stuff. It's basically work with you to set up all of your website stuff, your Facebook advertising campaigns, your email marketing, all of the strategy around posting content, your content plan that we'll create with you over the next 30 days when you start actually sending emails, posting social content, and so forth, and then optimize everything to make sure that you're set up to go the right direction. And I wanted to offer this to people as much as possible at a relatively really good cost. I don't even know if I'm gonna break even on these, because we have over 100 different things that we would add in as deliverables here. But like it says here, email system, website setup, social content plan, Facebook content, Facebook and Instagram ad setup, blog content plan. Blogs are not dead. If you do writing, invest in a blog, take the time to do that. SEO is not dead. There's over 100 deliverables within it. There's a 30-day setup. And I have room for probably just 4 more for the end of the year. If this is interesting to you at all, I'm going to link to it in the comments here. It's something that you can just jump on right now. If you want to lock in your place so we can work together, please do that. Just hit the link and go through the sign up process there. I do expect those to go quickly. I've already got a few that are interested. I have 4 because I already have a couple that have signed up. There's the link in the comments there. If you guys have questions, you have my phone number, you have my email. Ask those questions about it. But if I can help out with that, if that's something valuable to you guys, I would love to help you guys out. If not, I'm going to keep doing these calls probably once a week from here on out, and hopefully help people to understand kind of how to proceed through and maybe do some of this on their own. Okay, if there's no other questions, guys, thank you so much for attending today. I love doing these calls. I love the questions. I'll continue to interact and see you guys on the Facebook group. Other than that, thank you guys so much, and we'll see you soon.